The best product leaders aren't just product managers. They are part psychologists, part economists, part strategists. They see the world through a lens of first principles. But how do you move from theory to practice? How do you stop being a victim of chaos and start being the architect of your own outcomes? This is the Sovereign PM, the podcast that deconstructs the ideas of product strategist Schwarzkopf to give you a more powerful way to think and lead. It's time to own your outcomes. Let's begin.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into Brian Armstrong's How We Make Decisions at Coinbase memo. Now, on the surface, it looks like, a typical company doc.
Yeah, standard stuff, maybe.
But as we started digging in, it quickly became clear this is way more than just a management guide.
Definitely. It reads almost like a constitutional blueprint for high-growth companies.
Exactly. It's this really sharp, almost, I'd say, tough-minded application of core economic ideas to, the chaos of scaling a business.
Absolutely. And our mission here for this deep dive isn't just to summarize it. We really want to deconstruct what we think is, frankly, a masterpiece of organizational design.
Right.
We're going to try and analyze the first principles at play, connecting some pretty powerful economic concepts, like from the Austrian School to the messy reality product leaders like you face every day.
Yeah, the goal is really exploring why these recommendations actually work, hopefully giving you some new mental models, maybe some strategic frameworks you can use.
And the core challenge, the big thing Armstrong's tackling here, it's this knowledge problem. It seems almost impossible to solve sometimes.
It really does. How do you make fast, good decisions when all the critical info is scattered across, hundreds or thousands of people?
That's the puzzle, isn't it? That's what we're going to try and unpack today.
Okay, so let's start right there. This whole memo, you could argue, is Armstrong's answer to exactly that problem.
Yeah, the knowledge problem. It's a concept famously talked about by economists like Hayek. They argue that the information needed for any complex system like a market or, a big company, it's just inherently spread out. It's fragmented.
And often tacit, right? Like
Yes.
it's just experience people have, not written down anywhere.
Exactly. Tacit knowledge. So it's impossible for any one person, any central planner or CEO, to actually have it all.
Which is pretty radical, isn't it? For a CEO who is basically the ultimate central planner in a company.
Yeah.
To openly say, hey, I don't have all the information needed for every decision.
It is radical.
How does acknowledging that limitation change his whole approach? And what does that mean for other leaders maybe feeling that pressure to know it all?
Well, it's a huge shift in mindset. Armstrong saw he couldn't possibly know everything.
Yeah.
And instead of seeing that as like a weakness he needed to fix with more control,
Right.
he saw it as a fundamental reality,
Yeah.
something you have to design around.
Okay.
So his solution is, I think, really clever. The directly responsible individual, the DRI.
To DRI, we hear that term a lot.
Yeah, but the key insight here is what the DRI is for. It's not about centralizing the gathering of information. That's a common mistake.
Okay.
It's about centralizing the authority to make the decision. Armstrong puts it really clearly. He says, let me quote this, "The DRI is the person who is ultimately responsible for the decision.
Yeah.
Their job is to gather input from the relevant people and then to make a decision. They are not trying to get consensus."
Okay, so the DRI gathers input, but then they decide. Authority, not information hoarding. But, doesn't that risk creating a new bottleneck? Or maybe people feel ignored if their input isn't the final decision. How does the framework handle that? And how does this connect back to those economic ideas?
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
And the framework addresses it because the DRI isn't just allowed to gather input. They are required to.
Okay. Required.
Yeah. The focus is on accountability for the decision, not dictating the solution from an ivory tower. And connecting it back, well, this isn't pure like Hayekian spontaneous order where decisions just magically emerge.
Right. It's not a free market inside the company.
No. What Armstrong's built is more like maybe a managed spontaneous order. It's a hybrid. It tries to tap into that knowledge out on the edges, the engineers, the support folks, the people actually talking to customers.
People who know.
Right. While still keeping the whole thing coherent and moving in one direction, which a company obviously needs. The DRI acts like a local planner for their area, using decentralized input but holding the final say.
Which leads right back to the product leaders listening. Think about it. How often do you struggle to get the right info for a decision? How often do you feel like you need to know everything yourself? Maybe the question isn't how do I get all the information, But how do I design my team's process so the right tacit knowledge surfaces effectively, instead of trying to aggregate it all yourself?
Exactly. And once he addresses where the information is, Armstrong gets into something even uh, maybe more controversial.
Yeah.
How the decisions actually get made.
Yeah, his rejection of consensus. Let's get into that.
It's pretty blunt.
It really is. It almost feels jarring today. He just says it. We are not a democracy.
Yeah.
We don't seek consensus because it is a slow and often ineffective way to make decisions. And then, if you are a DRI, you are not a facilitator trying to get everyone to agree. You are a decider. That's a strong stance.
It completely flips the script on the role. The DRI isn't there to make everyone feel heard and happy. They're there to make a call. And what he's pushing for here is pure action over endless deliberation. It's about moving forward even with uncertainty. Because the aim isn't perfect agreement. It's effective action. This ties into another big idea from the Austrian School Praxeology, the study of purposeful human action. The focus is on doing things, not just talking about them.
And the implication is huge, isn't it? Chasing consensus, having endless debates, it almost always leads to inaction.
Always.
And in fast-moving markets, inaction is maybe the worst possible outcome. Stagnation.
You lose ground.
Totally. So a good decision now, even if it's not perfect, is way better than waiting for some mythical perfect decision next quarter. That whole disagree and commit principle, it's pure action orientation. It prioritizes momentum and actually learning from doing something. I mean, how many meetings have we all sat through where the debate just circles and circles?
Oh, too many. And the feedback you get from actually shipping something, from putting it out there, is infinitely richer than just debating hypotheticals.
Right. And this focus on action gets reinforced by how he emphasizes written communication. This is really interesting.
Yeah, the proof of work aspect. He says, if you are going to disagree with a decision, you need to do it in writing. This forces you to clarify your thinking.
It's like putting your money where your mouth is, basically.
Exactly. It acts like a kind of proof of work. It raises the effort required for casual disagreement.
It filters out the noise.
It filters out the purely emotional reactions, the low-effort complaints. It forces you to structure your argument, make it logical, so a complaint transforms into potentially valuable, reasoned input for the DRI to consider. It's simple, but man, it's a powerful filter.
So, as product leaders, the challenge back to you is, look at your own team's decision culture. Is it really optimizing for action? Or is it, maybe unintentionally, optimizing for harmony and avoiding conflict? And how could you use structured writing not just for boring documentation, but as a real tool for clarity, for accountability, for getting truly high-quality input?
That's a great set of questions. Now, to really grasp why Armstrong felt this memo was so critical, it helps to think about a company's life cycle, like the different phases it goes through.
Okay, yeah. Like the fourth turning idea, but for companies?
Sort of, yeah, as an analogy.
Yeah.
This memo feels very much like a document for a specific phase. It's a quintessential first turning or high phase document in that analogy's terms.
Meaning
Meaning it's for a company that survived the chaotic startup phase, the initial craziness.
Right, got product market fit, starting to scale fast.
Exactly. And now it's entering that period of rapid growth where you have to build strong, durable systems or institutions to handle the scale.
So it's about formalizing things, codifying what used to be maybe implicit?
Precisely. It takes the ways the early, smaller team worked often intuitively and makes them explicit. It creates a constitution, the rules of the game, so the organization doesn't just fall apart or grind to a halt as it gets bigger.
Or descend into chaos, or what you often see, bureaucratic paralysis.
Right. And that's the other key part. This memo feels like a preemptive strike against that later stage, the third turning or unraveling phase in the analogy.
Slow decline.
Yeah, the slow slide into bureaucracy, endless meetings, decision paralysis by committee, that cynicism that creeps into successful companies.
You've all seen it.
Absolutely. So this document is, like Armstrong, trying to build an organizational immune system, something to fight off that disease of indecision and internal politics before it takes hold. He's acting like a founder, yes, but also like the founder of an order, a system.
That's a powerful way to put it. And the connection for product leaders is pretty direct then. Beyond just shipping features or managing roadmaps, are you actively building the system, the durable way your team makes decisions day in, day out?
Yeah.
How can you, within your own domain, your product area, act like a founder of an order? Make sure your team can scale effectively without getting bogged down in that bureaucratic sludge.
It's a big question. because, as we've said, Brian Armstrong's memo,
Yeah.
it's challenging. It's definitely unsentimental. It puts effectiveness way ahead of comfort, clarity way ahead of consensus. But it's also, I think, a masterclass in system design, applying these core economic principles to solve really fundamental problems of growth.
So let's try to boil down the key actionable takeaways for product leaders listening. What are the big ones?
Okay, first I'd say acknowledge the knowledge problem.
Yeah.
Seriously internalize it. You don't have all the answers.
You can't. Right. Your job isn't to be the oracle.
No. Your primary role shifts to designing a system that surfaces that decentralized knowledge effectively. From your team, from the market, from data.
Okay, number one, what's next?
Second, design your decision protocol intentionally. Think hard about how decisions actually get made on your team right now.
Is it clear? Is it ad hoc? Is it just based on who shouts loudest?
Exactly.
No.
Because if you don't define an explicit protocol, trust me, one will emerge anyway, and it'll probably be political, inefficient, and unclear.
Okay, good one. Third.
Third, and this might be the hardest one culturally, optimize for action, not agreement.
Oof.
The goal isn't universal happiness with every decision. The goal is progress, momentum, learning.
And that disagree and commit culture, it's actually a sign of high trust and maturity, not dysfunction. It means the team trusts the process and each other enough to move forward, even without total agreement.
Well said. It shows trust in the DRI and the system.
Okay, and finally.
Use writing as a tool for clarity. Don't underestimate this. Forcing arguments, disagreements, and decisions into written form. It's probably the single best way to expose weak logic, demand rigor, and create that auditable trail of why a decision was made.
That proof of work for thinking?
Exactly. It elevates the whole quality of discourse.
Which really brings us back to that core idea, maybe the most important concluding thought from all this.
Yeah.
The most important product any leader builds isn't the software. It isn't the feature list. It's the system by which their team makes decisions.
That's it. That's the ultimate product.
So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with is this. Thinking about your own teams. How intentional, how designed is your decision-making protocol, really?
And, maybe more pointedly, what are the hidden costs? The long-term drag caused by not defining it explicitly. What inefficiencies, what politics, what slow rot is creeping in because the rules of the game aren't clear.
Lots to think about there. We'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts, your experiences with this stuff. Find us in the comments or on social media and let us know.
And that brings us to the end of this debrief. Our goal is to give you not just ideas, but a more powerful way to think. If you found value in this discussion, the best way to support this work is to give this episode a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future session. And if you know a fellow product leader who is wrestling with these same challenges, feel free to share this episode with them. As always, you can find the link to the original in-depth article by Karsten Schwarzkopf directly in the description below. Thank you for your time and your attention. Stay sovereign.